was in research, in academic environment. I used all this knowledge and applied it in that environment, as I said, brutally.
Yes, brutally, that's what he said.
So I actually got appointment in multiple universities, because you don't do that. I said, no, you do that. Academic appointment is not a sign of loyalty, it's a sign of excellence. And they look at me and say, huh? This is what we learned here, just to do things and make them organized. Then I moved to Australia where I got a professorial appointment. Then I got invitation from Harvard and I joined Harvard, spent 8 years there. And again, I got appointment at Boston Unit, Computer Science, and Harvard at Medical School. Because we can do it.
So he's an endowed professor at Harvard, please note. He's an endowed professor at Boston. Yeah. So I don't know if he ate or slept.
No, I'm not endowed professor at Harvard. I'm principal associate in medicine, which is equivalent technical side. Anyway, so after that, I had enough of that, and now I'm moving to Kazakhstan, of all countries. I got a position of dean. I have never been in university administration, but I negotiated it. And I say I can do that. I have experience. I manage 50 people, 3 laboratories. I organize courses. I have teaching experience, research experience. I have multidisciplinary, and I have an MBA. So that's strange. But they gave me a job.
And it's a brand new 3-year-old program. Dean of what's the school?
The university is only 3 years old, brand new, and there are already 80 people there, and I need to employ 60 more.
So 140 professors, and it's department of which?
School of Science and Technology, and there's 7 departments there. So I'm going there, and I'll try to build something new there.
And he refused New Mexico. He got New Mexico, St. Louis, Texas. I can't remember.
Boston University.
Boston University was trying to keep him. No, he says no. He goes to Kazakhstan.
I like eagle hunting, you know.
Ontario.
Yeah. This is actually a great challenge because it's a greenfield, and we can do. I can do something and see it growing. Go to Harvard and try to do something new. We'll kill you.
So Vladimir, when you think back on the hyperinflation, and interestingly, none of us in this class have lived through one. So, for better or worse, I mean, what comes to mind the first thing when you think back?
Desperation. Desperation. So a friend of mine talked to me 5 years after this. In the time immediately after that, they didn't want to talk about it. It was painful for them. So he got his weekly pay, and he said, "Oh, I need a pair of shoes," because he didn't have any shoes left. So he needed a pair of shoes, and he went to the shop. He could buy 1 shoe for the money that he earned in a week. And on the way to the shoe store, he saw a jumper, and he said, "Oh, I like it, but I need a jumper as well, but I better buy shoes." And then he came back. It was maybe 15 minutes. He couldn't buy the jumper anymore. They were just marking there was a person who was just changing prices like this. Then he didn't know what to do. He tried to buy something else, and then he went to supermarket and bought some salami and bread. Went home. Children arrived there and said, "This is what I have earned this week, so we better eat." But that was at the height of hyperinflation. This was stories like that, and these people, it took them quite a lot of time to recover from that, because it was not about themselves; it's about how to feed children. And having or not having job was not an issue, because people were working without pay, because most of the companies didn't even pay, and they were sending trucks with printed money, and they were just distributing, and there are a lot of people, there were new jobs, people who were just distributing money these days.
It was a job creation machine.
Job creation machine, not only printing, but distributing. Anyway, so you saw the notes there.
Any more questions while you have him here? Anything here? Would you have done anything different, Vladimir, if you could go back in time, would you have, knowing what you know now, would you have done anything differently at that point?
I don't think I could have done anything different because these are forces where any individual cannot do anything. So my blessing is that I came to this course, and I wanted to do something in my work. I have ambition. You want to contribute something and do, but then it's very competitive world, you know. Everybody is, you know. As soon as you show up yourself, you're competing with somebody. And the question is, how do we do it without being bad? And I came to this course to learn how to negotiate, for example. I was a bad negotiator, and I learned that's what we taught. I'm trained originally as an engineer. We're hopeless negotiators. You just look at the tables. Say, this should be like that. Why do we need to negotiate? And so I also learned to do modeling, real world. I do a lot of mathematics, but to apply it in real world, it's not exactly like that. You know, things change. It's fuzzy. So this is different. Will open my mind, and I apply this, and I am having fun. I go to academic environment where people don't know how to manage things. You know, even projects, they don't know project management. These people are not trained. They go straight to the PhD and depends on their supervisor, but formal training is very limited for this kind of things. I was applying this without any... You identify who is good and who is good collaborator and work with them. Not because somebody says this has to be done. Actually, I learned how to think outside of the box in this course.
And the hyperinflation changed you, right? He's supporting a lady in Ethiopia, and he said his goal is to start a school in somewhere in the country. Just give money, but start a school and help kids. But in a country where the money actually goes to the kids, because that's the problem. We both agree that giving aid is not a solution. Because when I teach the international trade elective, as I was telling Vladimir, I talk about to give free trade. Don't give aid, because money gets lost somewhere. Somebody pockets it. And so that we were kind of seeing eye to eye on that.
I'm sending $35 to a 5-year-old girl, to her family. And then for birthday of my girlfriend, I decided instead of buying her a present, I said I will send $100 to little girl. And this is my present for you. And I bought her presents anyway. And it went to them. And to my surprise, I got a letter back. They got the money and they said, this is a lot of money, $100. You know, we go to pub and doing $100 like nothing. And then they got really jealous to help the family to decide what to do with the money. And they decided to buy a calf that would be a breeding cow one day. And they still had money left for 2 sets of clothes for a little girl.
But the whole town got involved. There was a committee is deciding what to do with this huge sum of money.
$100.
Which is heartbreaking.
So we live in fantasy world, actually.
Anyone has any questions for Adrian?
Vladimir, thanks for coming. It seems to us that you've been through a lot, and you know you've been knocked down, but you got up again. I don't think you have children yet, but if you have children, how would you try to teach or transfer this drive? This
I have a daughter, actually. She's a medical doctor. And she's doing specialization in radiology.
Did you push her in studies?
Pardon?
You had to push her in the studies, or?
No. What happened is when she was very little, she wanted to become a medical doctor, and I nurtured that idea. And I designed everything around her so that she can get proper education to enter medical school. And actually, I have to thank her because she was doing some of my assignments.
It's very true. There's, when we do the Great Depression on Saturday, there's one homework I will give you. It's a photograph called Migrant Mother, which is, some of you have seen it. It's an iconic photograph from the Great Depression of this woman with children, homeless, lost from the Great Depression. And I got actually a grant from the GE company. I won a grant because it was a very unique homework many years ago. And the homework is simply to look at the picture, look at her face, and write what comes to your mind. Be introspective. because in class we will look at tons of curves and lines, ISLM. I want to make sure that we can step away from the lines and understand the true human cost of human suffering and because of bad macro. The Great Depression was very bad macro. We made further mistakes. But anyway, make a long story short, so you're supposed to look at this homework and tell me what you see. So Vladimir, and I will tell you this in class, but here you have him, asked Anna, right?
Yeah.
His daughter, this is not 2001, what she saw. And her response, and I'll tell you on Saturday after I hear yours, her response was one of the most evocative ones ever. This is a little kid then. I was
12
surprised.
years old.
How much?
12 years old.
Wow. And now she's specializing in medical school.
Yeah. No, it's post-medical.
When did all this
Graduated
happen?
already, yeah.
When did all this happen? Wow.
We are not getting younger. are we?
Well, you look great, you know.
Yeah, just because I lost weight.
And so that was one of the most evocative answers, and in fact, so, you know, he's immortalized in many ways. Even in class, if he wasn't here too, you would have heard that response. And so he decided, wait a minute, this is a better answer than mine. So he just gave me her answer.
I said, this is business, this is management, this is, you know, and we can delegate. And I honestly couldn't say it better than she did. And I tried, and I said, the rest of my time.
And so, you know, when we do the assignment, you're welcome to have your kids look at it too. Sometimes some of you, your parents will be from the Cultural Revolution, and they'll go, you know, some of the Chinese will say, that's what my mom or dad looked like when you talk about the Cultural Revolution. Or for some of the Indians, when you talk of partition. Or for us Americans, when you talk of the Great Depression, if they're still around. So we'll come to that on Saturday. But Vladimir, before we transition,